Chapter 20. The Consent Loophole. Most systems of control do not survive on force alone. They survive on unconscious participation. This chapter explores compliance, conditioning, passive agreement, and the moment people begin reclaiming authority over their own minds, emotions, and lives. Chapter 20. The Consent Loophole. Many of us now know that those working in the shadows, the ones running the old systems, have made an agreement. It's a cosmic loophole they exploit. They believe they're allowed to inflict their chaos as long as they tell us what they're doing. If they disclose it, even symbolically, they think it lessens their karmic debt. That's why they hide everything in plain sight. The tell you first game. They slide news of their coming actions into cartoons, movies, and headlines. They cloak it in irony and dismissiveness so that we laugh it off. Still, the disclosure is there, and in their twisted worldview, our silence equals consent. That's why they love predictive programming. Shows like The Simpsons have forecast real-world events with stunning precision for years, not because the writer is a prophetic genius, but because it's strategy. Matt Groening, The Simpsons creator, is worth over $500 million and is deeply tied to Hollywood's inner sanctum. The tell you first game goes deep. Authors like Aldous Huxley and his protege George Orwell didn't just imagine dystopia, they reported it. They were part of the Fabian Society, a group that mingled with the architects of the coming totalitarian world. What they wrote, Brave New World, and 1984, wasn't fiction. They were blueprints. The notorious Illuminati card game leaked operational plans. What looked like abstract satire turned out to be a coded dossier of future events. Those creators weren't clairvoyant, they were informed. Their cards tell a story of the world we now live in. What does that mean for us? It means if we don't say no, if we don't make noise, they count it as yes. Say it out loud. I do not consent. Say it with force, with clarity, and command. I do not consent to anything done to me or my loved ones without full knowledge, memory, and my explicit permission. Not in this life or any other. Consent isn't a checkbox. It's your spiritual firewall. You must stay alert because they count your silence as surrender. The language heist. Now let's talk about language. This one's slippery because it's been weaponized from both ends. Some say that proper grammar and articulate speech are signs of elitism. That's another inversion. They want you unable to express yourself. They want you stumbling through your limited vocabulary, unable to define or defend your reality. They want you linguistically neutered, disarmed before the fight even begins. That's not progress. It's called regression. What does a society sound like when it loses the power of language? Like a caveman grunt. Like mass confusion. Like gibberish masked as empowerment. When you strip a people of nuance, metaphor, and layered communication, you strip them of shared wisdom. The more mastery we have over language, whatever our native tongue, the more precisely we can craft our reality. Words carry power. Intent rides on syllables. Thought takes shape in syntax. Here's the paradox. The more advanced we become, the less we will rely on language at all. As we evolve, we turn to telepathy in increasing amounts. In clear, complex transference of meaning, feeling, and memory at once. A single thought will carry volumes. We will talk without speaking, understand without sound. Until then, we must reclaim language from the ones who twisted it. The spell of spelling. Yes, language itself has been corrupted. That's not paranoia, but reality. Letters have been rearranged. Words have been inverted. Vibrational structures have been embedded with traps. Take the word spelling. It's not just a word, it's a clue. To spell is to conjure, to encode. Letter placement is ritual. Syntax is incantation. That's how deep it goes. The Dark Cabal understands this, which is why they've spent centuries degrading language, promoting slang, and mocking eloquence. They want you incoherent. They want you forgetful. They want your words to betray you. We combat this by reclaiming intention. We infuse every word we speak with purpose and clarity. No idle talk. No parroting of empty catchphrases. You speak with awareness, or you remain silent. That's the rebel's path. Decency isn't dead. It's not just language that's been inverted. So have manners, respect, and human dignity. Holding a door open, helping someone with a bag, offering your seat. These aren't symbols of toxic masculinity or outdated etiquette. They are signals of human decency. In this upside-down world, they've told us kindness is weakness. They've blurred chivalry with dominance. As a result, society crumbles, not because we've lost civility, but because we've been trained to mock it. Let me be clear. The elite don't offer courtesy as a kindness. They perform it. It's theater, a mask. Their pleasantries are laced with deceit. That doesn't mean we abandon our standards. We reclaim them. We embody the real version. That's how we win. Language, respect, frequency, these are tools. You either let them be used against you, or you learn to wield them with discernment. Reclaim what's yours. The system has stolen more than our time and money. It's stolen our clarity, our command of self. The only way to reclaim that is to self-educate, not through mainstream schooling, but through your own digging and your own drive. There are still ancient texts, PDFs, archives online. You'll find the Greeks, the mystics, the mystery schools, the original teachings. You have to look beneath the garbage. Yes, the language can be dense, archaic, confusing. Nonetheless, keep going. The wisdom is valuable. Once we no longer need the books, we'll begin to retrieve it directly from the ethers. That's what happens when you rise. The truth doesn't just find you. You become the frequency that attracts it. Sleep like a rebel. There is much discussion these days about humanity evolving into crystalline bodies, higher frequency forms that vibrate beyond the limitations of carbon-based density. Is that possible? I do think so. It feels plausible, even probable. I won't claim certainty. What I do know is that we are experiencing waves of incoming energy that can either elevate or flatten us, sometimes both. Some of these energy surges feel like light-speed downloads. Others feel like a truck has hit you so hard you're barely able to crawl out of bed. That's the paradox of ascension. It can lift you up or wipe you, depending on what you're integrating. Jane says, "When I tap into your energy, I don't have any concerns for you. None at all. I say, though, will you just effing rest?" That's what I get. I respond, I'm challenging the narratives, the constant push, the program that says you must earn your rest, hustle to prove your worth. I'm asking if there's another way besides a nonstop outpouring of energy, because this system glorifies burnout and calls it success. Jane says, you resting is bothering you because mentally you're feeling you're not achieving, not striving. We've got the world to save. I respond, yes, that's exactly it. I've got this to-do list that haunts me. It just sits there unmoving, some monolithic sculpture of all the things I haven't done. So I went back to this low-key exercise class. Nothing extreme, but there are times I can barely move my body. Everyone else is bouncing around, energized, glowing. I'm quietly thinking, dear God, just get me horizontal. The fatigue comes in waves, cyclical and unpredictable. I'll be fine for a stretch. Then, boom, I am wiped out. Jane says, I've had a lot of periods like that over the years, a lot. I actually did a podcast on what we feel is laziness years ago. Everyone needs permission to be so-called lazy, because again, that's just a program. I respond, it's a brutal one. The programming around laziness is one of the deepest shame triggers in modern culture. What if that so-called laziness is actually something sacred? Jane responds, the co-host on that particular show was a psychic medium. Her channeling on laziness said it has to do with spiritual connection, spending more time on rest, giving ourselves permission to stare into space, and so on. This is when souls actually hop out of the body and go on a little adventure. I respond, right, for all we know, when you feel like lying down, it's your soul saying, all right, I need to leave this density for a minute. I've got work to do elsewhere. Other realms to scout, data to retrieve. I'm heading to another galaxy to check out that situation, and I'll be back shortly with intel. Jane says, do you remember an Avatar where they take the consciousness out of the body and put it into the big avatars? I say, yes, what a great movie. Jane says, if we were observing those people in the flesh, you'd think they are sleeping. I actually suspect that sleep is where our greatest activity occurs. It makes sense to me that there would be a program from Deep State around sleep where they give us drugs to sleep to stop all of the activity that would be happening otherwise. I say, they do everything they can to interfere with the sleep state. They push sleeping pills that numb rather than nourish. They ensure we've got electronics beside our heads all night. They scramble our circadian rhythms with daylight savings time and keep us working like machines. They rob us of natural rest cycles. Why? Because sleep is the back door to truth. That's where real work happens. When I need to process something big, emotionally, intellectually, energetically, I sleep. Just 30 seconds of sleep sometimes resets everything. I wake up with complete clarity, like poof, done, no more struggle, just integration. I don't always know what occurred during that moment, but I know I'm different on the other side of it. Jane says, I don't have them very often now, but when I used to have an upset, I would go straight to sleep to rebalance my body. I think that here we've just flipped the narrative. Sleep is a superpower that they don't want us to know about. I say, exactly. They've turned achievement into a metric of exhaustion. We've got to change our definition of productivity. Listening to your body and saying, yep, I'm going to sleep without guilt, without mental noise, that's spiritual sovereignty. That's the rebel's version of success. Jane says, it doesn't matter if I'm not paying the bills or writing the next great documentary. As long as the electricity is not getting turned off, it's fine. Just don't let the Wi-Fi turn off. I say, yes, exactly. Jane says, priorities. So, because you're in a tired state, you might find it's quite interesting what comes through today for you with the book. I say, yes, that's what I'm counting on. This shift, this radical permission to rest, to trust the unseen, to value sleep as sacred, is strategy. It's retrieval. It's preparation for the next leap forward. Our so-called fatigue may actually be a sign that our soul is offloading new frequencies, decoding multidimensional truths, preparing our system for what's next. We need remembrance. We need to reclaim sleep as the portal it is. The rebels of this age won't just fight. They'll rest. They'll sleep when others scramble, and they'll awaken with vision no machine could ever replicate. Because somewhere deep inside, you already know. Your superpower was never about doing more. It was about remembering more. Thank you for listening to this excerpt.